This podcast episode is perfect for anyone who wants to instantly build a personal brand without showing their face or creating a ton of content. And no, this doesn't involve any AI. Today, we're met with Josh Gavin, who started his business at just 14 years old and who has helped create over 450 digital offers, in which generated over $10 million in revenue. Let's see how he's rethinking personal branding.
Growing up, we were homeless for 2 years. It was my first deal, and I was like, let me just do this. So we worked out a deal, wasn't a huge creator, and within 4 months, we took it to $47,000 a month. And this is why you see creators, even if they're promoting scams, their followers still buy the products. I think we're missing that connection. That's why we see vlogs coming back. People don't like the Mr. Beastification of content. Social media will always be there. It's just tough now with AI being influencers, who can we even trust? Only 12% of creators make more than a full-time job would. The reason why this works, and I'm willing to work on a performance only, is they have it.
Hi Josh. Welcome in, man. Appreciate you taking the time to meet with us, man. We're excited to hear kind of your story and what you do.
Yes, sir.
Just kind of getting into it, man. How is this journey kind of started for you? Kind of get into what you do as well.
Yeah. So 22 years old, started out when I was 14. Wanted to make money online, of course, like any kid does these days. Started with not wanting to go to college. The whole reason I started my business, the first reason, it's not my reason anymore, but it was to not have to take an ACT test. That scared me. I was homeschooled. I didn't feel like I was smart. I didn't want to study. I was like, I do not want to take this test. So I had year and a half, 2 years before I had to take the pre-ACT test, whatever it was. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I need to make money. So at first it was selling music online because I used to make beats. Mm-hmm. And so I would on SoundCloud, I still have my SoundCloud up. It's Oshua. And so I have that, and I remember I actually sold a track for $50. So that technically was the first money I ever made online, was selling that. I remember getting the PayPal notification and I was like, oh, this is sick. Eventually I realized I don't really like producing. I don't really like that. Started looking at how could I sell candy at where I hang out with my friends. I was like, can I sell candy, classic, soda, especially being homeschooled. I homeschool kids. They can't have sugary stuff, so it would be a hot market. And then where I go to classes for homeschooling, twice a week, they were like, you can't do that. So they shut me down. And then I was like, let me clean shoes. So I was going to clean shoes for the cross country team. And then it kind of went that way. So that kind of got me into YouTubing and looking up stuff.
Yeah.
Once that started, then all the gurus selling drop shipping, their ads started hitting me to sell me that. So that's what convinced me I'm going to start selling products from China online. And eventually realized that whole model requires so much capital to get into. There wasn't TikTok where it could be organic like it is these days or whatever. So I tried, I did it for a bit. And then eventually what really kind of kicked things off when I started making serious money was when I started a marketing agency. So at the time, my mentor, Iman Gadzi, he's the one running ads back then, and Ty Lopez has started a marketing agency. So he's what kind of got me into the whole marketing game. And I had experience marketing from drop shipping, so it was super easy to transition into it. And then I started working party rental companies, real estate companies, anyone I could find online. And then that kind of catapulted me into the rest of what I do. So
That's awesome.
How old were you when you said you first started making
so serious? 14 when I first started taking it serious, and I made that first $50 maybe 2 or 3 months after that. And then that's what kind of kicked things off into it. And then by the time, speaking of the ACT test, so by the time that came up, I was already making money full time for my business. And so I remember going to the test place, and kids were crying, stressing about this test because they're messing up. And I'm just coloring in the bubbles, just didn't even care.
No way, really?
Yeah, and my mom wouldn't show me my test results for the next 2 years. She's like, I can't show you, you're gonna feel bad. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not trying to do school.
You did that on purpose.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care. I was like, that was so easy. Just cranked it out. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I could be working right now or working on my business. And my math teacher, Miss Sands, shout out Miss Sands if you're watching. Probably not, but I'll send it to her. She told me I should drop out. My math teacher, she saw that how dedicated I was to my business. And homeschooling, you go twice a week, you do your class, you kind of come back. And I always come back and tell her do I need to do this? What's a bare minimum? And I was telling her what I was doing. And she was like, Josh, you need to focus on this. And so it was the opposite of most teachers, where everyone's like, yeah, my teacher didn't believe in me. I had the opposite. My teachers drop out.
Wow. Yeah, dude.
So it was a blessing. And it's cool because a few years later, it was 2 years ago, I actually went back to that co-op and I taught a business class from the co-op that I eventually stopped going to, dropped out of. And so I remember going to Miss Sand's classroom and like surprising her and being like, yeah, I'm a teacher here now. So full circle. And she was just still supporting me. And she's like, I knew you could do it. So yeah, Miss Sam's holds a special place for sure.
So that message of would you say that you would agree with how do you feel about like the school system?
Yeah, I mean,
does it help people? Is it holding some people back?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, most people, not everyone's going to make it as an entrepreneur. You're not
right.
Like, that's a guarantee. That's like, we all know that. I think that it takes up a lot of kids' time to like think about what they actually want to do. Like they have no time to be introspective. No time. You wake up, boom, but what do you, like, this is what you have to do every single time. You wake up, take this class, do this, play this sport. There's no time to be introspective until your senior year. And it's like, okay, what do you want to get a degree in? Even then there's no time. So then you're going to get a degree you don't want. And then all of a sudden you're graduating with something you don't even like to do.
Exactly.
Or you like spend all this money and you stop. Right. And so I was just thinking about like my wife. I'm married, got married a year and a half ago. She went to college and she's very smart. She runs her own photography business as well. And so she has like, she does her business stuff, but she's also really academically smart. So she's like, let me just go to do it. Like she had great scholarships. But even for her, like coming out, this is like her first year not being in school. And she was she wasn't used to the fact of having like an open schedule.
Right.
And like just like think about what I want to do, what I actually want to do with my time, my life. It's crazy. Like that's like 22, 23 plus years not thinking about what you want to do. And for me, that's so foreign because since I was 14, I started being like introspective. What I want, what do I not like? What is my purpose? What is my calling, etc. And so I just feel bad for kids when they're stuck in that. They have no time. And then they're so burnt out and tired from school that they cope with partying, doing all these other things.
Ooh, yeah.
Then they keep going through the cycle until they finally get through, and then they're like, oh gosh, and then they're like, gosh, it's so hard to make it in this world. And it's like, dog, you didn't even like learn anything. It was a waste of your time. You spent all this money.
I think those type of people, they just look at like life so much different.
Yeah, for sure. That's fine. Like, I think if that's what you want.
Right. It works for some people. Some people, I know one of my best friends, he says this is his corporate job, 9 to 5, works perfect for him.
You know how nice it'd be? I mean, you guys know, obviously you run your own business, you understand. You know how nice it'd be technically in some ways to wake up, know exactly what you need to do. You're guaranteed pay every single time. Our girlfriends and wives wouldn't be worried, like, are we making money? You have a stable, so there is stuff that comes with it, but there is obviously risk that you could get fired, you get let go. And I hate the people like, oh yeah, it's so dumb to work a 9 to 5 do that. It's like, no, it's funny, I started working at 11 years old on an apple orchard. They paid me cash on the table, just breaking so many laws. But I worked in an apple orchard, so I was 11, and I kept working there even when I was running my business. And then I eventually got a job at a movie theater. And I got to the point, and this isn't to like flex, like, oh, whatever, but just to give some perspective, like I loved working like that job and having that routine because I'd be so stressed trying to build my own business and having to come up with everything that the idea of going to a movie theater, and it's like, here's how you clean up, here's a checklist, do it. I was like, oh, it's so satisfying. And I was making more money than my manager, and I was still working there. Wow. It was because I love the social life. Having a routine and doing it that way. And I remember they messed up the direct deposit to like the new card. They switched it. It's like you have like this debit card. I lost that debit card, but I worked there for another 6 months, and I just didn't take pay because I just loved having the routine.
Yeah.
But obviously I love my business. So there are pros. Like there's some people who need that. I just couldn't do that forever.
Yeah. And it's good that you had that experience to kind of almost like compare and contrast like this lifestyle versus this lifestyle.
Yep.
And
I know both. Now I can relate. Like someone's coming to me and they're starting a business. Like, can I do this with a 9 to 5 or whatever? I was like, hey, I understand. I was working 2 jobs. I couldn't even drive. I was high school. Obviously, I don't have kids, so I can't compare to that yet. Yeah. But I can at least tell them, like, give them hope. Like, there is a way. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that I had the experience instead of never doing it, like getting lucky once and being like, I'll never work a 9 to 5. It's like I worked that. Like, I understand it. So.
That's right. What's like, looking back at your old self, like, what is like some tips you would give him? Like, he's building his business.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to someone the other day about this. I think building my business in high school, don't date, like don't be in a relationship. I always tell like my students or friends, like when I was in high school and I got a girlfriend, my like Stripe account or bank account like dip, and then I like break up and it goes up. So I'm like, and then my dad always told me, he was like, At the time I was like, Dad, that sounds so bad. But he's like, have 5 girls who are all friends, you're friends with. You don't do anything, you're just platonic, just hang out, see what you like. Do all the things you do dating, just chilling, hang out, have fun, but then don't get distracted. I'm like, Dad, it's so dumb. Like you should have one person just date. And I didn't listen. I wish I would have. And so, don't date. I think I wouldn't have done that. Obviously, I think don't buy stupid stuff. I went through a phase. I was buying like Adidas NMDs all the time.
Oh, dude.
All the time.
Spending money on stupid things.
Dude, yeah.
That's
I mean,
bad.
buying
That's a bad
stuff.
habit, man.
Yeah, everyone's got it. And when you go from no money to having money, that's just normal.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because growing up, like we were homeless for 2 years. And so we rarely had money. Like I don't think it's been a long time since like, even not to throw on a bus, like my dad was making more money than I was. Like I was usually the one providing and helping. And that taught me a lot. But the thing is, when you have no money, then you get money, you feel safe and secure. But when you don't have money, because that's what you're used to, right? And so you're subconsciously, your body's like, I feel safe with what I'm used to. So it'll try to get you back to that place.
Interesting point.
So you'll blow your money because you feel safer with less money in your account. Even now I notice it, like if one of my accounts goes down super low, I actually don't get that uncomfortable. I honestly feel safer and more at home, but I have to like break past it. So it's like the fear of success that I now had to learn to get used to.
Did you have a moment where you realized like, oh, I gotta stop spending money on stupid things?
There was never
it
a
just
big purchase. I don't think I ever made anything stupid. It's just looking back, I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
you know, like just buying stupid shoes or one purchase. I bought like a $3,000 Audi, put another $4,000 in to fix it. It blew up. I had to sell it for like $500. So I think that's how I like matured. I was like, that was stupid. And I thought I'd impress the girls, but it like pushed them away even more. Like this car is so dumb. Yeah. Then I got a crappy Jetta, and then I got married a couple years after. So it's like, she was more excited about the Jetta that had a working radio than Audi. So I try to tell people, but the thing is like, even if I tell people, very few will listen and actually try to avoid it. They'll just think, well, let me just try to experience it and then I'll know. And they'll experience it and they'll realize the same thing.
Yeah, man.
So I don't know what to say. It's like, do it, I guess, like figure it out. There's one kid who's kind of doing it where he's living below his means. He owns a shoe brand, a Christian shoe brand. Yeah. And he's one of the students who is in my business class at the homeschool co-op. And I won't say specific numbers, but it's crushing. It's a brand. It's huge. And I'm like, met up with him like, dude, like, are you just buying stuff? Like, because I'm expecting like, yeah, I got this. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm just kind of chilling. He's like, I might get a car, like a decent car in the future. He's like 15, 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's young. He does it with his brother. And he's like, no, I'm just like chilling. He's like, he loves what he's doing. He truly loves like his business and the marketing. That's the one person I've met so far where they didn't go to that phase, and I don't think he ever will. Like, he's truly obsessed with it. And I was like, okay, I respect that. And I was like, I wish I had that. So I think that's one thing I would have avoided for sure. Relationships, spending stupid money, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a big topic.
That's huge. Well, yeah, I mean, going into it, like, what do you do now? Like, explain kind of like what.
So I've gotten decent at explaining this because like my wife's family is always asking me. They're always like, "What do you do? Like, do you even make money?" Like, they think I'm like selling like Bitcoin scams or whatever. Like, I be posting stuff on Facebook, and they're like, "What the?" Like, it's very simple. I'm essentially a music label for digital products. So I go to creators, whether usually they have anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000, sometimes 1 million followers, and I go to them and I say, "Hey, I have an idea of a digital product we can sell to your audience. I will come up with the idea. I'll tell you what the product should be. Sometimes we'll even script out the different pieces of it. You just be the face and you just read it and like be the face of everything. We'll handle all the marketing and then we'll just split the profits 50-50. So just like a music label would go find an artist or a singer, say, hey, you're really good at singing. And I don't want to be good at singing. You be good at singing. We're good at promoting you, distributing your music, getting you in venues, selling your merch. We'll take a cut of that. That's what I'm doing." Okay. So it's like almost strategic and like almost like an angel investing, but with my time. And so I'll find these creators. And the reason why this works and I'm willing to work on a performance only is they have an existing audience. Yeah. It's so easy to sell to an existing audience. They like them, they know them, they trust them. And this is why I see creators, even if they're promoting scams, their followers still buy the products. Yeah. So my thought is if a follower will buy an awful scamming product, like how much more will they want to buy a product that's ethical and will actually help them? So for example, one of our partners, she was teaching interior designers. So she's an interior designer. She was helping interior designers. And she had a Facebook group of only 8,000 people. And it was my first deal. And I was like, let me just do this. So we worked out a deal. It wasn't a huge creator, but we went in and I just asked her, I was like, what's like the number one problem your group keeps asking about? And she was like, oh, it's always on legal contracts, like the contracts with your interior designer. I mean, you guys know the importance of contracts when you're doing any service.
Yeah, man.
So you think about the interior design, hundreds of thousands of dollars of merchandise, tons of time coming in. These people can get screwed over. So these interior designers are always asking about that. And so I was like, okay, perfect. Well, can we template your contract and sell it to them? She's like, yeah, for sure. So we took her template, put it in Google Docs. I think I helped edit it a little bit. Her husband did too. It took like 15, 20 minutes. Boom, so now we have our product. And then the following week, we just did 7 days of promoting it to our group, just saying, hey, we got this contract template. If you need to protect yourself, blah, 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 here you go. Set up a simple page and we sold it. And that contract made us $7,000 in the first week, which is like, okay, 7,000, that's cool. And we split that, so I get my cut. But what's awesome is now I have a product I can sell evergreen forever. So we took that product and we also added in other ones later on. And within 4 months, we took it to $47,000 a month in not revenue, that was cash collected. Obviously, there's expenses, tech, the cut between each other. So my take home wasn't all of that. But still, we took that product at launch, and that's organic with our audience. Then we take the money we made from organic, we turn on ads, start promoting it, and now I have a product that doesn't have my face. I don't need to coach the students. I don't need to handle customer support. I'm just promoting it, which that's the fun part.
And what do those margins look like on your end?
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about like my expenses when I'm doing these deals?
Like for your side.
At the time, I didn't have any team. It's like, and also I made them pay for the tech stack. So I take home all of that. So it's taxes. So whatever tax bracket you're in, that's the only expense. So it's my time. I'm trading my time. But eventually you get to a point where you only have to invest time for about 90 days into it. And then I'll outsource or hand it off to a full service agency and they'll keep promoting that product that I still have ownership in. So really it's like some business models, like if you're a copywriter, you're an agency owner, you're a freelancer, you make money when you sell your time. So you always have to sell your time to make more money. Which is fine if you want to play that game. But some people enjoy it and that's great. But for me, I was like, okay, how can I'll still use my time because it's like, I've unlimited time or there's no expense on it, right? I have it. So how can I trade my time for money and then get to the point where I can automate it to make more money? And so that's why I took this path, because now I can just do 90-day sprint, automate it, hand it off, and then I go find my next creator deal. And some people are doing like that I know, that either we're coaching or in my network, they're doing multiple deals in a 90-day sprint. So sometimes they're doing 2 to 4 deals. That's where you're usually building like an agency and you start building a team. So you're almost getting back in the agency business. I don't like to play that. I'd rather just hand it off to them. But there's so many routes you can take it. So yeah, just a music label for creators.
And like, what would something like that look like? Like, let's say we came to you, right? Like, what is a prime example like you would offer to us? Yeah,
I mean, I would just, if it's you guys, first I would just, if you guys came to me, I would just look at what's your audience. I have to look at what your audience is, what do they want, what problems they have. And it's a pretty easy deal. It's literally like, hey, you are going to show your face. You're going to film the content I create for you, and you're going to promote it to your audience and plug it in all your videos when you're doing it. So if you're like a TikTok person, I'd be like, hey, you're plugging this at the end of all your videos, and I give them ideas of videos to do that would integrate it well. You're going to have this in your link in your bio, right? Then we're going to get emails and we're going to promote it that way. So realistically, you wouldn't have to do too much. I would be doing everything else. I literally say, you be the face, you create the product, and I'll even tell you what the product should be. So I can't, unless I'm using AI to duplicate you, which it's getting to the point. Like, I do know some people that do that. Literally AI, the whole creator, like there's AI creators, but yeah, I would do everything other than that.
That's awesome. So hearing the success stories, flipping it, has there been any, hearing you say these $50,000 deals, is there any products or deals that you've made that didn't go the way that you thought?
Luckily, nothing terrible.
You're just so
we
good
grow. Yeah, no, we got to get bigger deals and it'll get worse. The bigger creator you work with, the more ego they have. So we're talking to somebody who's got billions of views and millions of followers on Instagram. It's like, that person has probably problems. They're going to try to fight for, rights, and it'll be a mess. But I've had like smaller circumstances where we'll have somebody and they say they're going to create the content I want them to. They say they actually are good at what they do, and maybe I don't vet the creator well enough. And so I used to like a setup fee from like for $20,000 to $30,000 to have me publish these creators. So they'd actually have to pay me to publish them. So it's like a setup fee. And I did that with the creator, and I eventually found out that they weren't as good as what they're doing. Their market wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And they weren't as they wanted to take it a completely different way. And so when I look at that, I still have control over that. I just learned from that deal. Like I could have avoided that if I just would have done more due diligence. So it's hard for deals to go wrong unless I just mess up and I don't vet the creator. And in our program, we have a checklist now after doing dozens of deals, like what makes a perfect creator. And if you hit these things, they're usually like a perfect deal.
Interesting.
So after doing enough, I've learned to avoid it. But eventually, dude, there'll probably be lawsuits and problems and whatever. That's just how it is. Like you make more money, there's bigger problems. And I had one of my mentors tell me, he was he had a company and some things fell through with a partner, lawsuits involved, all this stuff. And he was just telling me how he likes when it happens, when there's a ton of problems up front like that. Because he's we're just scaling so fast that we're essentially handling maybe 3 to 5 years worth of problems at once. These problems would come inevitably. You will get these lawsuits, you will have these refunds. So I'd rather just happens all right now. Let's just get it over with. So he helped me shift my perspective. So if I do have a big problem, I'll just be we're just getting bigger. That's just how it is. Every company, they're getting sued. Subway, FTC came after Subway recently because they made their sandwiches look better than they do in real life.
Wow.
How stupid. There's people reporting this.
And the Uber one?
Uber, exactly. Oh, it's hard to cancel your subscription. Uber, FTC, they're gonna come. You're making more money and you're a big company. They're going to come after you. So it's what do you want? What are you gonna choose? And some people, they do want to kind of chill and be at that level. And I feel I resonate with that more. So I'm not trying to build something aggressive. And so usually it's around $10 million is when they start looking at you. So if you're doing over $10 million a year, they'll always, be what are you doing? Or if you have refunds and disputes and you're a terrible person scamming people. But even if you're ethical, 10 million, they're still going to come look at you. They always will. So eventually you're going to deal with those problems. Might as well just get them over with.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's a perspective thing. I mean, problems are just learning opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the sooner that you can figure that out, the less stressed that you're going to be.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
That's good. And what do you see the future of offer publishing look like, and how can people maybe get ahead of that curve?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be here. With what I do, I can do it in any industry. So we were talking about my chiropractor.
Yeah.
I don't just need to do digital products. You can go to anybody and say, hey, and this is everywhere. You see people doing this. For music labels, that's been around forever. You focus on what you're good at. I'll focus what I'm good at, and we'll just do it that way. Same thing when companies hire people for jobs. They're saying, hey, we're really good at this and running the company, building this product. Can you come and handle the distribution or be the CEO, do that? Everyone's doing it. It's just usually those people are only getting paid an hourly paycheck or a retainer, which is smart by the company because they are keeping more of the upside. So if they can get these people who are the people who went to school, we were talking about, they're fine getting that paycheck. They will assemble these people to make more money. So one of my mentors told me, he's there's people with a 10K a month mindset. There's people with a $1 million a month mindset. People with a $1 million a month mindset will assemble people who only have a 10K a month mindset to make them $1 million a month. Because they're okay making $10,000 a month. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
If someone wants to make $10,000 a month, that's awesome for them. Why wouldn't this person, that's fine. There's nothing unethical about that at all. It's just, you have to choose, which one do you want to be? And so for me, the reason why I take performance deals is because I have that upside. And so it gets me out of being in this box. And so it'll always be here. I think it'll transition. I think if you want enterprise value, the goal is to go from digital products to software or subscription. Those companies exit better. And so, the future would just be getting to a point where you are building companies for exiting and then selling to private equity. So there is levels to it. You can do it you can be like me, a kid in just a basement doing this. And then there's new levels where you take those same skills and then you just build businesses and exit them. And I know a lot of people watching this, they probably know Alex Hormozi, Iman Gadzhi, Russell Brunson. These people are all doing this. It's so funny, Alex Hormozi will say that school is the way that is making money. Right, do school. But if we really look at what he's doing, now he's more of a private equity. But originally, He'd go into a company, there'd be a creator with a product existing or an audience. He'd say, you handle that, be good at that. I will do my marketing stuff and I'll get my cut. That's what he does. So it's like, I look at that, I'm like, the biggest dogs are doing it. Why wouldn't I just copy that? I'm not going to go build a recurring school group. And I've done that. I've seen the numbers behind it. It's nothing at all compared to what you can do with publishing. And so you look at acquisition.com, that's what they're doing. Now they are more buying companies. So you probably call them a holding co or private equity. And then Iman Gadzhi, same thing. He was like, oh, what if I just went to my friends who have audiences or expertise and then create educate.io or whatever, or Digital Revolution. He had drop shipping people copy, boom, boom, boom. You teach it, I'll publish you. Same thing. And he's like, do agency. Bro, he's making his money publishing other people. Like that's what these companies are doing. And so I've at a young age, I always look at like, what are they doing, not what are they telling me to do? Yeah. And so that when I saw like, oh, Iman, again, original mentor got me an agency, I was like, well, he's not running his agency anymore. What is he really doing? And so I'm happy I made that shift.
That's awesome. And what are some of like the key elements to like an irresistible offer?
Yeah, so whenever people talk about offer, I mean, it's usually just something that is going to convince somebody to want to buy something. And so it's an umbrella. Like some people think an offer is just like what it's priced at. They think it's a discount. They think it's a guarantee. They think it's whatever. Like that's what people think what an offer is. Yeah. But it's like those are just pieces of an offer. And so I look at the offer has multiple things in it. It has like, it depends on your market, your sales messaging, what makes it stand out. But the biggest things I look at is like, why should this even exist? What were the circumstances that happened to make this exist? And then why is this better than everything else that exists out there? Those are the two things I think convince people to buy or make it a good offer. Or you can add in the other stuff to it. So for example, you think about Shark Tank, when they come out and they do their pitch, they always have some story and how some circumstance happened. And they were like, oh, what if we made a solution to this? Right, there's this person that sold, I forgot, it sold, I still have to look at the numbers, but they had like this thing they can attach to your car where your door shuts and it like latch on. You can attach this like stepping stool to get up onto the top of your roof to like put stuff on top of the roof, right? And they were just came from them being like, oh, it'd be easy to like get stuff on a roof without having to get a whole ladder, right? So there's circumstances that happen that caused this, problem to exist. And then they create a solution for it. And then you counter argue everything else. So then you would counter argue ladders or just a stool or having to climb up there yourself or pulling a trailer, right? Whatever. They'd have these counter arguments. So there's always a circumstance for why this should exist and then why it's better than everything else. And that's why people buy. They want that. They want something that's the best in the market, the fastest, the easiest. People are always comparing the commercials. It's always like the black and white, oh, the old way, scrubbing your dishes and it's all colorful. Yeah. The new way, oh, whatever. So they're always doing that, and that's what it comes down to is why should this exist? Because if people can't relate to that, like that product wouldn't have sold for millions of dollars unless other people could relate to them having to put stuff on top of their car and struggling with it. Yeah. So a lot of times people just think they're so convinced that their product's so good that they just don't even care what other people's circumstances are. They could just be their circumstance, and they're like they think it's everyone's, and it's like, no, it's not. Like I couldn't relate to that. Like for me, I couldn't relate to having to get on top of my car and put something up there. But obviously there's like a huge market who does, but it's worse. Some entrepreneurs get so blinded by their vision that it just doesn't hit at all. It doesn't land until they actually look at the market and see if it relates. So you can either take the approach where you get lucky and just something happens and all of a sudden you have this product that just matches the market perfectly. And that happens to some people, or you just look at the market and you figure out what circumstances are happening right now that open the door for this to make sense. Like for publishing offers, the circumstance I saw is we had a huge wave of people wanting to do running agency or write copy. And then we had AI come in and essentially replace most of those people. And so I'm like, you can't survive now just as an agency or a copywriter because AI is replacing you. You have, big dog Andrew Tate, Iman Gadzhi flooding the market with more people wanting to do agency and whatever. So you're how are you going to compete? And so I was like, all right, those are the circumstances that everyone can relate to. Here's this better path that I found, years ago, blah, blah, blah. And so that's the thing. You can either just look at your market and identify these circumstances and then create a product, or you create the product and then try to match it to the circumstances. And I think that's what makes a really good offer. And I used to overcomplicate it and add more to it, but I've just come down to those being my main principles.
You think building the audience and then thinking about the product might be the better way to go? Or?
Man, I mean, I will just go after people who have an audience. Like if you want the fastest way, you just arbitrage someone else's audience. So you just go for someone who has an audience, and then you match a product to that audience. Or yeah, you can build your own. You can build your own personal brand and go about it that way. It just takes longer, and you have to be okay with and have clear vision on where you're headed, or not, and then just fumble your way through, which is fine. But if you want the fastest way, I'm a big fan of who already has the audience. That's like the best thing. That's the most expensive thing.
Yeah.
Like on average right now, it costs about $3 to $5 to get one click on a Facebook ad. That's just one person getting to your site. And then this average site to convert to like an email opt-in will be around 20 to 30%. Wow. So 70 to 80% of those people that you pay to get to your page will never give you their email address. Then the people who give the email address, the conversion from that is sometimes anywhere from like 5 to 10% maybe. It depends on the product. Sometimes lower, sometimes 1% to 3%. Yeah. So then another huge chunk of those people, 92, 98% of those people are saying no. Yeah. People you paid for. So the most expensive piece is the audience. So for me, I would rather just go after someone who's already spent the time or money to build the audience and then monetize it for a cut. And so there's plenty of those people out there. Do you think there's over 2 million creators with over 100,000 followers or people on their email lists or wherever. 2 million. So I have 2 million people I can potentially partner with. That doesn't account for the another 186,000 that have less than that, have like 100,000. And then the multiple people that have 10,000 plus. And at the start of the interview, I said I partner with people who have anywhere from 10,000 plus. So I have millions of people I can partner with. Yeah. Wow. Then if that fades, I'll just go to my chiropractor like I'm doing and publish him. Like he has a database of past patients. All right, thank you. You have an audience.
Kind of pivoting off that. So you said that you mostly work with social media creators? Yeah,
usually it's social media. I love creators on Facebook, so I have a Facebook community, or YouTube.
Okay. So maybe 20 or 30 years ago, it was probably people on broadcasts.
Movies. Yep.
And then now it's social media age.
Yep.
Where do you think that next step is going?
I think it'll regress back to being more personal. I think at some point we're gonna go back to being in person. Man, I really want it's gonna be like cities. You're gonna really want to be connected to people in your city. I think we're missing that connection. That's why we see vlogs coming back. Yeah. People don't like the Mr. Beastification of content. Right. This natural, just people just doing their thing. I love watching this YouTube channel called Outdoor Boys. It's over 8 million subscribers, and he just goes out with his GoPro, does survival videos. It's super chill, or a family vlog. And I remember one night, my wife was always like, you really like that channel? I was like, yeah, I love it. I was watching over and over. And there's this 2-hour-long vlog they did for their 14-day trip. Yeah. And my wife sits down and she starts watching it. And we watched the entire thing. It was like a movie, watching this dude live his normal life. There's just something about that. We want to be a part of it. We relate to it. We connect to it. We want to be like them. I'm watching Hawaii. I want to be there. Yeah. So I think we're just how it's going from big, crazy to vlogs. I think audiences will be more local, intimate settings, community. You see all these brotherhoods popping up. It'll be curated communities that people enjoy being a part of. And I think social media will always be there. It's just tough now with AI being influencers. Who can we even trust? Who's even real?
Right. So true.
So where are we going to go? It has to be in person, because the only way we're going to be able to believe something is if you're sitting across from me.
Right. I've just seen it evolve over the years. Now it's just getting to a point where these streamers, they're just searching for a clip. They're searching for the craziest thing to do, the dumbest thing to do. Just they know that people will be searching on their phones and see it. And I think it's switching over to the audience now is everybody in the world. They want something valuable.
Yeah,
they're
what am I doing?
Something valuable, not just this stupid brain.
You don't feel good about it. I remember I used to watch YouTube drama a ton, or these influencers, and one day I just came conscious. I'm like, this doesn't affect my life at all.
No.
And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a negative that us Americans can be very selfish and self-centered compared to other people in the world. But it's helping in terms of people getting away from brain rot content, because we're all this isn't giving me anything. So at least it's breaking us out of that. But hopefully it transitions into more selflessness elsewhere. But for sure, it's you're scrolling, you're what am I? I was looking at a video the other day and I was drama between these two YouTubers, and I watched 5 seconds. I'm like, this is so stupid. What am I doing? I'm 22 years old. If you're watching brain rot YouTube drama still at 22, I almost did, or I still did for a little bit, dog, get out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah. Pendulum is swinging.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And it will. It'll keep going.
And how do you never mind, I lost that thought.
All good.
I did.
We'll
Totally
cut
just
it.
lost.
Cut. Silence.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, how do you determine, like, how do you make authentic content? So that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how do you make content that's authentic and then like, meaningful? And how do you stay away from that automation and like AI?
You speak to what people are going through. Each one of my YouTube videos or posts I make, it's with like an end person in mind, something that they can relate to. And so, for example, one way I do this is like I mailed my email list and I was just like, hey, ask me anything about offer publishing, right? So I'll send you a Loom video back answering it. And so I find I'm way better just on the fly instead of like planning things out. And so a bunch of people replied and I did like Loom video screen share, just answer their questions, send it back to them. And then after that, all of a sudden I had like 25 emails come in. I did like 25 videos and I saw a trend of what people are thinking and going through, experiencing, doubting. And all of a sudden I have all this content ideas now that I can put out that people are relating to. So that's how I try to make it authentic, is like use stories that could relate to others. Try to pull that in. Like I'll do my post where I'm like, oh yeah, I was talking to this person, and I kind of share it, and with the understanding that it could relate to more people. So relatable content that speaks to their circumstances. So that's how I try to do it. Just stories.
And that started by you were just sending videos to one person?
Yeah, it was just email. I was like, hey, I'll reply back. And they didn't believe me. They're like, you're not going to send me a custom video. I was sitting there as, hey, dude, yeah, here's my thoughts. And then I was also, this is the other side of it, is I'm figuring out what objections they have or doubts. And then I took all those answers. I recorded a more produced video and I created like a 10-day video series answering their questions. And the goal is by the end they finish those videos, they won't have any doubts and they'll have the confidence that they can do what I'm teaching them to do. Then of course my product gives them the tools to be able to do it. Yeah. So now I have like a separate YouTube channel with those videos and each one links to the next one. So watch the first one. It's just value, free value. You got this, make them believe it's possible. All sourced from those emails. And now I'm just going to send traffic like from my main YouTube channel to that or anywhere else. And then I can send those videos out as emails, whatever. So it's all related to them and it's valuable. It's not like it's just straight up like what are they going through and helping them with it. So I think that's how I do it and the best way to keep it very authentic.
And where do you think like personal brands are going for this offer creation and publishing? And then I see like you're building your YouTube channel and your audience. Like what does that look like in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is with offer publishing, you don't need to build a brand. The whole point is you can have multiple brands. Yeah. And so the thing is about personal brand, like for what I do, if I say like, okay, let's say I really love baseball because I still play baseball. Yeah. So let's say I start a personal brand on baseball. And that's my YouTube channel. I can't pivot and bring my same audience who likes watching baseball content to football content. Right? It's baseball. And if I do have to probably start a whole new channel because the algorithm is now feeding those people, right? So you start a personal brand, you're locked into one thing. Yeah. Now, with why I like offer publishing is I can actually have a piece of multiple brands. So I want to get into women's health. Okay, let me find a women's coach who's a female. And now I can get into a market that I never would be able to get into with my own brand and my own face. And so I love it because now you can own multiple brands instead of, and a lot of people don't start their personal brands because they're scared of being locked into one thing because they don't know what they want to do yet. They don't have enough life experience. And we have these gurus going on, start a personal brand. You need a personal brand. Everyone's trying to start build a personal brand. And most people build a personal brand, documenting them building a personal brand about building a personal brand. It's like the new YouTube headline should be POV on building a personal brand and me building a personal brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm done. I don't want to watch you. And like day in the life of building a personal brand on building a personal. Like, what?
Does that work though? Or
it works for a short time, but eventually everyone's like, it runs out. You're like, okay, like what's the point? What are you gonna sell? Like, what are we taking? You get capped. There's competition, the longevity. So that's why I love publishing because I can go to all these different markets. But for me, I'm building my personal brand as like a publisher, more generic, as just a revenue generator. Because I know it'll attract, people I could publish. So the nice thing about having, and one thing I think Alex Ramosi did extremely well, and one thing I'll give him props for, out of the many, I think he's a great person. He took the approach where people thought he was doing like short form content, like I'm just doing this for free, I'm just giving it away, right? Oh, it's all free, I don't have nothing to sell you. The dude was building up status so that he could get into companies easier with less money up front. Being about School, the company he acquired pieces of, he would have had to pay more money to get into that company if he was a nobody. But Sam Ovens, who I've talked to, great dude, love Sam Ovens, who owns School, he knows Alex Hormozi has the audience. So Sam is making a move. I'll give you more of my percentage. Again, similar to publishing. Here's you focus on recruiting people, pushing people to school. I'll focus on the product, okay? And so he got to get into school with less money up front, I would imagine, because he had a huge audience. Now he's wearing the hats, the shirts. Now I remember I was in school and it was like, I was one of the first original members. And all of a sudden, Alex Hormozi comes in, boom, 190,000 people in there.
Crazy.
Super fast. So, that's the thing about it is, once you have that, you can just kind of push it. But a lot of people, they don't know what they want to do. They don't know what they want to build a brand. They don't understand what it should be on. And so that's why I love this. And I like Alex Hormozi's approach of building that status, because status does turn into currency. Like there is something that comes with it. People treat you differently, you get more opportunities, whatever. And followers, status isn't just followers. You can have results, trophies, case studies, awards, standing on the stage, what's the logo behind you, think about TEDx, that's what they're really selling. It wasn't like an educational event. They were selling status to these speakers who wanted the logo behind them. So there's ways you can build status that way as well. So
and that's something
that's why I like building my brand.
I think really well is like building status without like having a huge following.
You don't need I have like 5,000 friends on Facebook, 1,700 on YouTube. That's the thing. But I have creator partners who have hundreds of thousands and thousands of people, so it doesn't matter. And the nice thing is I don't need to like show off my lifestyle and like flex to build that up. So it's like you can still get clients, you can still get people interested without showing off or flexing. Like no one knows what car I drive. No one knows where I live, like what if I have a nice house or not. No one knows how much money I make. So I could have the worst month ever and nobody would know. And that's great. Because then like everyone's gonna go through problems. In business, you're going to hit a bad month. But imagine you're upholding this image, then you have a bad month, now you have all this pressure from all these followers online. Like, that's so that's why I love it, is like I can be faceless if I want to, like Faceless, or I can go out and do my brand and kind of scratch that itch. But ideally it'd be nice to have like a portfolio of just different brands that all have a piece in. And I can be like, oh, I'm really interested in the survival market. Okay, who has a survival audience? Great, I can get into it. I don't even need to be the expert.
And how do you get connected with brands like
that? You just email them. Like it's such a, we have people in our program, no experience, no results, no case studies, nothing. They send a simple email saying, hey, I've got an idea for an offer we can launch to your audience. It's performance only. I get paid when it converts. Are you interested in hopping on a call? Brands with millions of followers. Yep. Crazy. Like these I have millions of followers. I was going after 8,000 people in a Facebook group. Then some new person who we give our script to is like millions of followers. Nuts. Because there's not selling, it's partnering.
Do you
performance.
Think you have to have that experience though to get that response?
You don't have.
You can't be a regular Joe Schmo off the streets.
You can. Well, one of our top students is from Ghana in Africa. He's just got no brand, just chilling. He's crushing it. Just sending an email. I mean, you don't need that experience, but you can just take my experience we give them the script. But really, it's not that fancy. I'm making it sound mystical. It's literally like, hey, I have a winning offer idea we can launch to your audience. Are you interested in learning more? And you can always add in personalization if you want. And they're like, yeah, let's talk, because they want to make more money. That's another thing people don't realize and talk about rethinking sponsorships and brand deals. Let's talk about that. Bro, they're drying up. We have too many creators out there. There's so many. Ever since COVID, there's this boom. And so companies will be like interested in it, and investors will put a ton of money into it because it's new and exciting, just like AI. So we had the boom. Now everyone has a phone, everyone can post on TikTok. The algorithm pushes people like crazy. So anyone can become an influencer. So we have this huge opportunity people we can pay. So now you're thinking like you're Nike or a brand, who do we sponsor, right? And so people try the approach of a bunch of smaller people or maybe like the biggest ones, but they're realizing it's like, we need to just pay the biggest one. So right now, the bigger creators are getting all the money and they're not testing these little smaller people. And I mean, there's articles on this too. Forbes has talked about it. Business Insider has talked about this. There's reports on it. Linktree did a report just last year, and they found that only 12% of creators make over $50,000 a year, which is about $4,000 some a month, which is less than you'd make at a normal job. Most jobs starting is like $6,000. So you have only 12% of creators make more than a full-time job would. That just shows like there's just a huge. It's not it's not saying you can't make much money. There are creators making millions, billions of dollars, right? But it's getting harder. And so that's one of the things that I see the problem with, like the sponsorships and the brand deals that's drying up. And so these creators want a new way to monetize. Especially you think about doing a brand deal, you get paid once, you make this company a ton of money, and that's all you get your brand deal. Yeah. The companies wouldn't be giving you more money than they're gonna make back.
No.
They're giving you less money than they're projecting they're gonna make. That's business, right? That's how it is. You wanna spend less than you make. And so these creators are realizing it. You see Mr. Beast, why does he have his own products in his company instead of brand deals? Because at some point, he's realizing he's getting so big, he's sending these companies so much money that even when they pay him $1 million, they still know it's worth it. So he's doing the math and he's like, okay, usually cost per acquisition, a company would want it from 10 to 20% to 30%. So he's like, my $1 million is only about 10 to 30% of what I'm making this brand. So then he's doing the math. He's like, I want the other 70. I want the other. Wow. So then he launches Feastables, right? Yeah. And then he's Logan Paul, Prime, Ryan Trahan, Joyride. They're getting the stores because they want that money. They're smart. They know what's going on. Their agents know. And so they want a new way to monetize. And so reaching out to these creators is pretty easy because they're all struggling or they're getting affiliate deals. But again, they're getting like 10% commission, 20% out of the 100. Yeah. And so I go to them, and even if I'm taking 50% profits, still 50% is much better than 10 to 30. And they own the product, and if we exit it, they have equity. So they actually have ownership. They don't own Honey, the scam, whatever, to promote. That's another thing, scams.
I saw that. What was that?
So Honey is super interesting. I was wondering, how does this work? I never understood how the economics work, but Honey is a free extension for people that don't know, and you install it, and essentially if you go to a site, it'll find coupons online to get you a better deal. Because you can look up coupons for whatever and you can find them, but it'll just automatically find them. Yeah. And it's like, wait, how are they making money then? How do they make their money? Well, they found out Honey, when you go to click that button, it would replace or would add their affiliate code to whatever you're about to buy. So they're an affiliate marketing company. They're getting affiliate money. Now, let's say a creator had a camera gear down below, right? And you're like, I love this creator's setup, and they wanted it. They could, let's say you click the link. Amazon would usually keep your affiliate link. That creator will now get money. Yeah. Whatever you buy on Amazon for the next 30 days. Yeah. Now, Honey, you click that, you want to get a coupon on that camera you were about to buy, it'll replace the creator's affiliate code for theirs.
Oh, shoot.
So they're technically stealing conversions.
That's insane.
But then from the creator.
They would pay these influencers to advertise Honey,
and they didn't know. It's the most genius, it's awful, but it's a genius model, but so unethical. Now, what's even crazier is they say, we'll find you the best deal on the internet, right? We'll find you the best deal. It's actually not true. They go to companies like Domino's or whatever, and they say, hey, if you don't pay us, we're gonna show everyone your coupon code. It's the really good one. So either you pay us, and then we'll make sure that the only code that's ever found is the code you want on there. Wow. So the companies could make it $3. They can make it the lowest savings. So they're holding this over companies, saying, oh, it's not blackmail. It's kind of hey, so the companies are, because they'll lose money. They want to make the most money on customers, so they make you feel like you're getting a good deal. But it's just the company. So most of these big brands. So we thought we're getting the best deal on the internet. It's no, you're getting the deal Honey negotiated with the brand. So they're making money off both sides.
Is that low-key a smart business move?
Here's the thing. Yeah, it depends on your ethics, because you're like, what? We're not doing anything.
It's messed up.
It's absolutely genius in terms of if you want to pull off the greatest right. Because it's kind of okay, even if I don't know, it's bad, but it's still you're not going to sleep tonight being wow, Honey really did people. Because they're saving people money.
Yeah.
So they'll never get that much hate. Bro, I still use the extension. I don't care. I used it the other day. But PayPal bought them for $4 billion. It's something crazy. So PayPal owns it. So they're gonna get sued a little bit, give us some money, and we'll keep running it. So yeah. So anyways, creators promoting scams. The reason why they'd be down to do offers with offer publishers because they can trust their own products. These creators had no idea. Mr. Beast had no idea he was promoting a scam. And he promoted it like crazy. And now it's coming back to bite him because his face is in the headline, the thumbnails, everything, everyone's getting knocked. Who's that tech reviewer who does Ultimate Frisbee? I don't know. MKB, something. What's his name?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Marcus Brownlee, right?
Marcus Brownlee.
Yeah, he promoted it too. Now he's having to come out and be I'm sorry, so.
What was it?
Honey, it was promoting Honey. They're promoting it. So now they're getting the backlash.
To promote Honey.
Yeah, so now they're getting the backlash. So creators, if they promote their own products, that's another angle we use. We'll talk about that. Or FTX crypto scam, they had no idea. And now, all those people are getting, slammed for promoting a scam, but they had no idea. So creators want to own their own products. They just aren't good at commerce. Creators want to create, they don't want to handle commerce. So I go in, I'll handle commerce, you create. Wow. So it makes it a perfect deal.
I'm pretty sure that's how Prime works too. I think like Logan and KSI, they didn't even come up with the idea.
No, who's the brand? It's called, I forgot the name of the brand, Congo Brands. They own Prime, and they came to them and they found a distributor who can make the stuff. They found the influencer and they brokered the deal. I think Prime, they own 10% each. Logan owns 10. They own 80. Wow, and it's crazy. Congo Brands, Alani, the drink as well. They own Alani, so they did the same thing. They went to influencers, but our Addison Ray, these people, you hold the drinks. They made a girly energy drink. So like, let's just go after the female market. All the energy drinks are all male. So let's just publish. Oh, who has an audience? Oh, this person does. These influencers. Now they have like Kendall Jenner for all these people. Many. And it's in gas stations ever. So they own like 2 of like the biggest drink brands.
Do you think it's like, because Alani is more so associated with like all these different types of influencers, whereas Prime is like strictly just Logan Paul. Is there a difference on like how to do those type of deals? Like,
I mean, you can decide because they're more so with e-commerce products, you don't need as much of a personal brand. Like usually you want like the personal brand to build a business brand. So they fast tracked with Alani, getting a ton of creators and just made it more generic. And I think Alani came out before Prime, so they probably tested that out and liked it. And so that one will be a lot easier to exit, I would imagine, because it's not as attached to how much people like Logan.
Right.
And it's more so the product.
Yeah.
And people don't really like Logan and KSI. So if you buy a brand, it's like, and it's like, So I think that Alani probably is more enterprise value because you take the creator out of it, does it still work?
That's so true.
And also Prime sales are going down after the hype. Once they became less like exclusive, like it's definitely a decline. So a lot of celebrity brands, they see if it's a bust or if it actually like works well, because there'll be like this spike, but then they like see, and so the only way that it can like sustains if it's actually a good product. So when we publish products for creators, we actually try to create a good product we think will sell instead of just pumping and dumping it, which you can do. People do that.
And with Alani, I mean, I know people that promote it, and they're not paying them anything. They're just giving them free product.
Yep, free products.
So that's working for so many. I mean, that's probably way more profitable, I think.
Yeah, dude. Affiliates and just do 100 all the time. I love it. I love when we have our affiliates, or even like affiliates. I love affiliates because with paid ads, you always have to pay. So if no one buys, you're still paying for it. But with affiliate marketing, I only pay my affiliates when they make me money. So even though my acquisition costs on Facebook may be like 20, 30%, sometimes it might be higher. It's like there could be months where I don't make a lot of money or dips and I just lost all of that. But with affiliate marketing, especially when you're just starting out, the only cost is when someone buys. I didn't really get the power of that till recently. And I'm like, plus affiliates have a warm audience. So again, selling to a warm audience is easier. That's like what this is all about. Who has the audience? How can I monetize it? And some people want to build it, but I didn't play that game.
Yeah. So if people do want to build it, do you have any tips on that side?
Not really, because I haven't really done it. I think I have one. Disruption. I think disrupting the market is big. You have to disrupt what people know. Like, what do people believe to be true? How can you call it out to make them think differently and get their attention? Liver King, good example, disrupt the market. Right, big, just going after Andrew Tate disrupts the market.
Yeah.
Everyone who's big disrupts something that you believe to be true. Like, and then everyone like resonates, it sticks out. If anything, it'll stick out. Like, I was talking to that kid who has a shoe brand that's crushing it, 15, 16 years old. He just all organic. They did all organic. It's crazy. He was telling me, I was like, what's the strategy on like TikTok right now and Instagram? And he was like, just like rage baiting. I was like, rage baiting the comments, and then people are mad. They comment and then they push in the algorithm until the people who actually care about the content see it, and then they buy. So his whole thing is like rage bait people to get to your dream customers.
What's an example?
Like just rage baiting, like if it's a Christian shoe brand, like rage baiting like the Muslim community. Like make a Muslim brand or Muslim. I think that's one of his videos. You can probably find it. It's like, you should create like a Muslim version of the shoe. And then he says in the text, and then he's like, nope, or something. He's like, just a shoe brand, And then everyone's like, how do you eat that? He's just like, no. And then it pushes it, and then the Christians see it, and then they're like, I'm for it, and then they buy the product. So that's what it is. Or like, anything. What do people do right now? Disrupt it. Like knees over toes, guys, fitness. You're like, don't squat. Don't ever let your knees go over your toes. You're squatting.
Yeah.
He comes out and he says, Nah. So everything is just disruption. So if you want to stand out, you have to disrupt something that everyone believes to be true. Wow. That's hard because sometimes you don't have something that disrupts.
Yeah.
And that's why you see people doing crazy clips and content to stand out. It's either disrupting an idiot or you just like have something that's legit going to disrupt people.
Wow.
So it's all disruptive.
That's what I was going to ask is like, how can we disrupt?
What do your people believe to be true? Like if I want to disrupt, I would go, okay, let's say short form content.
Short form content.
I'm going to go knock it. I'm going to show you how short form content, I could come up with the points right now for why it's not good. Yeah. Just knock it. Anything. Long form content, you can do the same thing. Wow. You can disrupt anything.
Or saying like why short form is not going to work and then it's going to go to long form.
Yeah, just talk about all like short form audiences. I would just talk about the TikTok creator who had like millions of followers. She had like a meetup at the TikTok convention or whatever, and no one was there for her. Millions of followers. It was like your audience, it does not convert to loyal people. Long form does, right? So I just tap something that they can relate to, right? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Wow. I mean, I did it when we're talking here. I'm talking about what Alex Ramones really does make money, right? So I just took school and I said, flipped it, disrupted what people believe to be true. So that's how you do it.
That's
and it's honest. You have to be true. Like everything I'm saying, I believe to be true and is true. You can lie, or vegans, don't eat meat. Yeah. Same thing. Keto, put butter in your coffee. What?
Yeah.
What? Disrupts. Everything has to disrupt. It has to disrupt. So I will only do deals with creators if I believe I can disrupt the market. Like interior design, everyone says you need to go to college to do interior design. She didn't go to college to do interior design and making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna use that. Wow. So what do people believe it needs to be true? Oh, I need to go to college? No, you don't. Yeah. Accounting, big stayatHomeBookkeeper.com offer. Teaching moms how to be bookkeepers from home. They're like, no, you can actually make money from home as a bookkeeper without a degree. And there's usually QuickBooks or whatever. And so they disrupt that whole market.
Dang.
It's valuable. Something to think about.
Yeah. You gotta lock in.
Gotta disrupt. Rethink.
Exactly, dude.
Rethink everything.
Rethink content.
Rethink everything.
Rethink everything I just said because everyone's like, great, is he just disrupting my beliefs?
How about we disrupt the stuff that you just tried to disrupt?
Yeah, you could, dude. You can point out, I could disrupt my whole model easily. Yeah. But then I would just come back and it's like whoever has the most compelling.
That's so true.
So it's everything. It's like
wasn't there a time where you disrupted, like you didn't believe in content at all?
When did I?
Or like shorts are just short form.
Yeah, I think I was against short. I was like, I'm not doing short form.
But then
I haven't done it.
Do you have to do it with your?
I might start it now, but it's just I'm doing it because I know that's not what's going to make me the money. It's just going to give me eyeballs. Because I want eyeballs and I'm going to push them to stuff that will. So
that's true. The conversions on short form.
Yeah, so I'm not. People thought just do short form. I'm like, no, short form to long form. Tate did it. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I think YouTube has a new feature coming out or something where it's like the shorts. When you have like a clip, you can like swipe up and it'll go to the long form video right there.
That's huge.
I know you can link it.
You can link it. Yeah. Soon it'll be right there.
And now shorts on YouTube, it was 1:30. They bumped to 3 minutes.
Yeah. Because people who buy ads because they make money on ads, and they know people who consume content longer pay more money.
Dude, I got a TikTok video the other day. It was 40 minutes long. It was like a full highlight of.
Bro, I would probably watch it. That's disruptive right there. 40 minutes. You paid attention. Think about TikTok. It. Disruption. Yeah, that's why I think what are people currently doing? I do the opposite. Like there's somebody who they would put like their like a video sales letter or webinar usually like on your own website. And then he noticed people are getting used to that. So he said, let me just put it as a YouTube video. So he hid a video sales letter as a YouTube video, which disrupted how people consumed it. Like, oh, watch it because they had no idea. And then the thing converted like crazy. So yeah, what do people believe to be true or are used to? How do you do the opposite? It's like age-old best marketing campaigns. They always did that.
Yeah, that's so good.
Thinking about how Andrew Tate disrupts the market, do you think it works or do you think it doesn't work?
Oh yeah, it was probably the best examples. And he went too far. I mean, you start going too far, it's like
to where like almost
he like
becomes unethical.
Yeah, right? It's unethical or just like wow, like it's just beating people down. Like I wouldn't push messaging that makes people feel worthless.
Yeah.
Right? Or hopeless or helpless. Like I would not push content like that. I would push stuff that gets people to believe that there is a path, even though they feel helpless. Like if someone feels like their short form isn't working, it's like you'd say stuff like it's not your fault, and I would scapegoat other things, and then it's not on them, and I'd bring them up.
Right.
So pushes people down, and the only way to get built up is if you join his offer. I would rather people are already beat down, lift them up, give them hope. So just you can depend on what you want to choose.
Yeah.
Right.
Works both ways.
Perspective,
Yeah, it works both ways.
That's really good. And I know, we're good friends, and I just want to go into like faith, and I want to talk about maybe how that impacts your business, like how those play a role.
Yeah.
And how you spend, how do you make time for that in family?
Yeah. So, I think I started making the most amount of money after I read the book of Ecclesiastes, which is in the Old Testament. I know I talk all the time. All the time. So it's not even just pulling this out of nowhere. Like all the time. I was reading it today. Ecclesiastes, for those of you who don't know, is written by King Solomon. We know King Solomon from his Proverbs. So a lot of entrepreneurs and business people love to parade around his book on all the wisdom and the happy, I just do this, I'll be wealthy, successful, the wise man, right? All these people will throw that around. But not many people know about the book he wrote, which is Ecclesiastes. He wrote 3 books. He wrote Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, and Songs of Solomon. Ecclesiastes is pretty slept on. I've been a Christian my whole life, and I heard about it when I was like 17 years old. And so I remember reading it, and it's essentially King Solomon sharing his personal story of when he got to the point where he made so much money. Like he was the wealthiest person alive. I looked it up today. In today's amount of money, he would have been worth like 2.2 trillion, I think it said, just in his gold. Yeah. So it doesn't include anything else. Just his gold, $2.2 trillion.
Crazy.
Wealthiest king, wisest king. He prayed, asked God for wisdom. He wrote Proverbs, so wisest person alive. So wealthiest, most wise. And even at that point, so he is like, okay, I'm going to try to figure out what makes me happy. So he tries everything. He writes in this book, in Ecclesiastes, he tries drinking, he tries women. He had like 900 wives. Yep. Crazy. You think about like body count. Solomon had like 900,000s. Thinking, if I just get another girl, I'll be happy. He tried all that. Slaves, so employers, servants, real estate. He built statues, monuments. He got animals, livestock. He conquered other towns. He learned more. So a lot of people are like chasing the pursuit of wisdom. So somebody who had the most money, who could do it to the highest level, tried all these things. And it's funny, you hear people say, it's like, if money doesn't make you happy, you haven't made enough, right? You probably heard that quote. Yeah. It's like, well, here's the thing. Solomon had the most amount of money. And in the book of Ecclesiastes is a theme where he keeps saying it's all meaningless. So I'm reading about this king, the wealthiest, most wise person. He's saving me the time, telling me all this is meaningless. What's the point? Because it's going to fade away. It talks about how like everything under the sun is meaningless. It's going to fade away. We're going to die. Also, you make money. I want to build a legacy for my kids. Bro, you leave it to your kid. Like, what is he going to do with it? You can be stupid, blow it, destroy your family name. Yeah. So even legacy is meaningless. Yeah. Right? It's all meaningless. Even statues, they'll fade. And so I'm reading this. I'm like, because in our industry, it's all about money, make money, get the girls, get the car, right? All that stuff. And I'm hearing it's all meaningless from the wealthiest person. Like, no one can deny that. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to listen to this dude. And in the book, at the end, it comes to the very end, a conclusion, where he says, like, everything's meaningless under the sun other than obeying God's commands. Like, obeying God's commands because you're light, like, things will go well for you. That's not exactly what it says, but there's another verse that says it as well. But essentially, it's like, it comes down to obeying God's commands, how he made life to be. God created the world. He kind of gets to dictate how it goes. If you believe in God, it's how it is. That's just how it is. And so that's when I read that. I was like, okay. So all this is meaningless. And so that helped a ton because I've learned I'm getting better at letting go of my money and my success. Even now, I still struggle. I know I was telling you the other day, like there's still times when marketing campaigns I can get super afraid. What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? It's like, dude, if I really believe and I understand this is meaningless, I'll detach from it and I'll actually be able to produce it better. Like when you're stressing about making a video or a piece of content, you're more likely to fumble things, stress out, not as much creativity. But if you're in that flow state, right? Yeah. Flow just comes out. So for me, my like cheat code is just understanding like, I'm going to die one day. Sounds bad, but I'm going to go to heaven. So it's going to be great. This is all meaningless. None of this matters. I'm going to be okay in the end. I have family, right? So I remove all those things and understand I'm going to be fine. And then I can flow better, which then leads to me producing better in my business, which I believe helps me make more money. So I wouldn't even say like, I believe God does bless me. He's like, is blessing me. But I think his blessing is just through his scripture. So I can let go of this stuff and then just take more action. Like, I don't think you can just like sit around and pray and do nothing. Like Solomon says, like a lazy man won't be rewarded. He won't make any money. So you do have to work. Yeah. And so it's, faith has definitely changed because it's like, this isn't my identity, right? My identity is that I'm a son of God. I'm the creator. I'm a child of God. My calling, I feel like I'm called to do business. Yeah. I'm called to do other things. And that, can shift. Your calling can be added onto. And then there's assignments. Like right now, my assignment is being an offer publisher, but that could change. My identity isn't I'm an offer publisher.
Yeah.
Right? I think all the copywriters, their identity is I'm a copywriter. Then ChatGPT comes out. You can write fast and you instantly, bro, your identity is gone. So you have your identity, and I know what mine is, my calling, which can be added onto, and my assignments, which are always shifting. And so understanding my identity, it's like people are like, what's my identity? Who am I? It's like, I know who I am. And then I also believe God will show you personally, like how he sees you. And so, yeah, it's honestly like, I believe it is like my cheat code in a sense, because I'm so detached. And all my other entrepreneur friends are stressing. Oh my gosh, they're freaking out, or and they're stressing out, and then they can't produce, and they don't make more money, and then they get stressed.
Yeah. And
it's a whole cycle. And obviously I go through the cycles where I've been stressed. I've like, we can talk about a story going up to being married, and I have the diamond, I have the wedding band, and I can't even afford at that point in my business to put it together to propose to my girlfriend at the time. And she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, like, I'm trying to figure it out. I remember going to the Barnes & Noble in Edina and just pacing, just stressing, like, how am I gonna make money? Do I need to take out a loan? This, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like a bad season in my business where I'd launched something and it wasn't performing as well. And so I decided to refund all my clients. Wow. So I just had to refund them, and I took out a loan to refund them. So I literally had nothing to refund my customers. And in that moment, like what got me through is knowing like, it's gonna be okay. This is short term. This too shall pass, right? But it was so stressful. It doesn't mean I'm not like, I still, like even today, there's times where I'm like, and I'd be like, okay, remind myself. But at least I have something to remind myself. At least I'm not like stuck in that. So I do feel like it's like my cheat code in a sense, just having that.
Do you think growing your business has allowed you to grow your relationship with God?
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, there are seasons where you gotta hustle, and it's like your back's against the wall. Like in that season where I'm stressing about being able to pay for a wedding and all that stuff. Like there's times where I have to work a ton. But what's interesting is even in the struggles and like growing a business, like it says, I should know this. It's probably in Romans where it talks about how like your trials, like your trials will lead to being more dependent in God, and that'll build your character. So like your trial will build character, and your character and dependence in God. So your trials actually bring you closer to God because you're depending in him, or they can bring you further away. You can go the opposite. So I believe trials are good because it builds your character. And so whether I'm up in my business or down, like if I'm down, I get closer to God because I'm like, I gotta depend on him.
He wants me to go through.
Yeah, I gotta depend on him. Lord, help me. Or I can choose to not do that. And then when I'm up, it is a blessing because I do have more time to be, in scripture or help others, give to others, which also brings me closer to God, like letting go of my financial gain to bless others, helps me get out of being self-centered. So I think either way, good or bad, you can still be going closer to God. I don't think there's an excuse to be like, I'm just really struggling. Like, I just don't have time to read my Bible. I don't have time to do this. Yeah. Like, okay, but you still have time to be praying to God as you're struggling. Lord, help me, show me. I trust you. I believe in you. That is all bringing you closer. So,
love that, man.
That's really good.
Love that.
Well, awesome. I mean, I think that's it. I think we really appreciate having you on. And
bro.
It was a blast.
It was fun. It was nice setup. You guys did a good job.
Thanks,
bro.
It's fun. Like and subscribe. Rethink who you're subscribed to.